One is they're fearful of the situation, which is, the current situation, if I can put it that way. What is the current situation? Now, I want you to be in track with me. I want you to be in track with me on this one. The situation, if I can put it there, or the situation is not the problem here. For example, if you are floating on a boat, and the boat, what is a boat designed to do? It's designed to float along, isn't it? As long as the situation on the outside does not get on the inside, we're fine. We float on the water. Boats only sink when the situation on the outside has gotten on the inside. I hope you're on track with me. So I'll say it again. Boats only sink when the situation on the outside has gotten on the inside. Now this is my point. There are situations happening all the time around us on the outside. All the time around us. I'm talking about situations, in the workplace. I'm talking about situations in your family life, in your personal life, in your business life. The situations outside, the circumstances happening all the time on the outside. As long as it does not get on the inside, hey, you know what? You're sailing, if I can put it that way. You're sailing smoothly. Now, there could be absolute hell on the outside. It does not bother you at all. The moment it starts to get on the inside, guess what? You start to drown. You start to drown because, when you let the situation on the outside get on the inside, it affects you. It affects you. And I'm talking about things like in your conversation. It's in your conversation. It's in your speech. It's in your thoughts. It's in your words. It's in your attitude. It's in your character. This is the first signs of going down. First signs of going down. When you allow the things on the outside get to you on the inside, guess what? You are going down. You're going down. And you start to take things personally a lot of times. Instead of learning from the situation, instead of learning from the circumstances and moving forward. Someone once said, people who ride on the top of a storm do it because they float through it without allowing it to get in them. Absolute key. You can go through, let's put it this way, you can go through, and you've seen people, successful people, you can go through a recession, you can go to a depression, I don't care what it is, there are people who become millionaires in the middle of a recession, in the middle of a depression, if I can put it that way, because they did not allow the situation on the outside get on the inside, and did not allow it to affect them. Affect their thoughts, their words, their character, their attitude on the inside. When things on the outside, get inside you, you begin to go down. I'm talking about the negative things. I'm talking about negative things. And, a lot of times we have this great idea and we want to get that idea out there. We start to move things. We start to do things that then starts to change our behavior about things. We start to action a few things. All of a sudden, someone comes along and says something that, hey, you know what, this is not going to work. This is never going to work. And it just stars your negativity. And what happens then? You let the situation on the outside, even though you believe, even though you know, even though you know that that's the idea, you're going to get out there, it's going to work, no matter what, you're going to get it happening. Someone comes out there and puts that negativity in mind and tars your mind with that negativity. Guess what? You're going down. You're going down because you let the situation on the outside get on the inside. You have gone through the hard yards. You've thought about that. You've worked on that. You're actioning it. And all of a sudden comes to a standstill. How do I keep it out? And I'm glad you asked that. How do I keep it out? See, I like to take the scenario of how they build a ship, and I talk about this when I do presentations out there. When they build a ship, what they do is they tar it and they build it to, in it's hard resistant steel. It does not affect the ship when the ship is sailing, because that hard steel, it's resistant when it's in the water. It lashes, it goes through the water. Even though the water lashes on the hull, it will fight through it and it will pierce the water to get the ship to its destination. It pierces the water, it cuts through the water. No matter what the storm on the outside, it is sailing ahead, because it's built for that. It's built for that. It's built to fight that resistance. It's built with that. It's built to fight that resistance. You don't want to associate yourself with people. And I see this all the time. And I was speaking to someone just yesterday and said, associate with people that penetrate your pitch, if I can put it that way, penetrate your pitch with negativity, doubtfulness, fearful people that come to you and keep saying to you, hey, you better watch out. If you don't do this, this is going to happen, and if you don't do that, that's going to happen. And people come up to you and say to you, hey, you know what? What makes you think you're special? What makes you think you can do what you set out to do? Hey, you're not special. You don't have the accreditation. You don't have the knowledge. You don't have the skills. You don't have the influence. You don't have the education. And people come to you and say this all the time and scare you. You have to use that common sense to, and look at the people, look at the person on the outside and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to let that person get to me on the inside of me. I'm not going to let that person get to me, no matter what. And they begin to leave holes in you, isn't it? They start filling your think. They start corrupting your thinking. They fill your mind with absolute garbage. And you know the people I'm talking about. You know the people I'm talking about out there. Just when you start to get ahead, just when you start to move ahead, there's circumstances out there that people will come to you and call you up or come and confront you and say, what makes you think you're special? What makes you think you can do what you set out to do? They tie your mind up. They tie your mind up with negativity, with malice, with aggravation, with all that garbage that brings you down and leaves you there, and you start to doubt yourself. And when you start to doubt yourself, guess what? You're going down. When you start to doubt yourself, you're going down. Because the most powerful thing in your body right now, is your mind. Is your mind. Is your mind. When you start to doubt, guess what? You are not functioning at 100%. You're not moving forward at 100%. And when you're not moving forward at 100%, you're moving at half a pace. And when you're moving at half a pace, guess what? Are the results. Guess what are the results? Absolutely. When you're moving at 100%, your results are phenomenal. And that's the results you need. So, you need people that will build you up. You need people that will strengthen you, will encourage you to go through things, that, will say, hey, you know what? And people that will give you constructive feedback, let's put it that way. People who have made it out there, people who have achieved that success in what you're endeavoring to do, is the people you need to be talking to, people you need to be engaging with, people you need to be associating yourself, if I can put it that way. Don't let people bring you down. What's the worst thing is people will tell you things that, hey, you know what, it's never going to happen, you're never going to make it no matter what. And these are the sort of people that have never ever achieved anything in their life, who've never even gone through what they want to achieve. But hey, you know what, they get out there and they try to penetrate you with negativity and put things out there about you. There's this whole communication portfolio out there with things like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. And people get to you. People get to you. The question I ask you is, what are you going through right now that's getting in you? What is it that you're going through right now that's getting in you? If you want to know what's getting in you, you've got to listen to what you're talking about. Listen to what you're talking about, because what the mind adapts is then your mouth starts to speak. If you want to know, like I said, what your heart is thinking, you want to know what your mouth is speaking. Have you ever been around those people that talk about the past all the time? I do talk to a lot of individuals, and I'm sure you have too as well out there listening to the segment. They talk some of the people talk about it like it was yesterday. Talk about the past like it was yesterday, if I can put it that way. They talk about it was 20 years ago. Tom left me. That snake, that vicious snake, that venomous snake. He left me. He's nothing but a snake, and he's always and they always remember Tom, and she always remembers Tom. But you know what? Tom's married again. He's living with Helen, and he's gone on and got five kids and 5 children, if I can put it that way. He's gone on with his life. And here you got Mary, who's still mad with Tom. 20 years later, because she's allowed the circumstance on the inside to get on the inside, on the outside, get on the inside. See, Tom has gone on with his life. and she's drowning in a 20-year-old cup of water. Then your thoughts and your mouth will tell you what's getting to you, because it speaks of what your heart is full of, if I can put it that way. If I had some time, if I had the next hour, so I can go on and on, and then the second point I want to make is, yes, and then people are afraid of the circumstances, and here's what I talk about the circumstances all the time. People are afraid of circumstances as well. They're afraid of the solution. I understand that, okay, they're afraid of the solution, but going with the solution, they're also afraid of the circumstances. Let me just break this down for you a little bit. If you're on the 10th floor of a building, right, and the building is on fire, you're afraid of the fire, so you're running from the fire. You've gone right up, you've moved right up to the 10th floor or the 15th floor of the building, and there you have the fireman at the bottom saying, "Jump, come on, jump. You can. We'll save you. Jump, come on." The fireman's telling you to jump, and you're standing at the edge of the floor, but you don't know what to do. You're not sure, and here you are, afraid of the circumstance, which is the fire that is coming after you. It's coming after you, and you're on the 10th floor, and the fireman's saying jump, and here you're afraid of the solution as well. So you're standing on the edge of that 10th floor, if I can put it that way, thinking if there is another option. But let me put it this way, you don't have long to think about it. You don't have long to think because the fire is coming after you. You know that you're going to have to jump, and if you don't jump, you're going to burn. And the solution is just right there. You can save yourself. The solution's right there. And if you stay here, or if you stay on that 10th floor, you are going to burn. And if you jump, you just might live. Like I said, the circumstance is coming after you, and the solution is right there. And you are there thinking about, is there another option? What do I do? So this is where I say you have a strong mindset. You've got to build on your mindset. You've got to build on your thinking. You've got to build on your thought process. You've got to build on that. When you build on that, when you're strong, when your mind is strong, the fear disappears. The fear disappears because you see a lot of successful, and I talk about a lot of successful people, and I've seen that in the last 10 years or so, building on, and I love talking to a lot of people and individuals I mix with. I've seen that in the last 10 years or so. Successful people are never afraid to try one thing after another, no matter what people say, because they've gone through it, they've built their mindset, mentally they are strong, and when you're mentally strong, the fear disappears. The fear disappears. And how do you build that mindset? Is moving around individuals that will build you, will help you, will guide you, will encourage you all the time, will give you things, or will help you build on things to build your success, as a matter of fact, if I can put it that way. So most people are afraid of these two fears, and they do absolutely nothing. They just stay on the boat. I'm just going to stay here because I know I'm going to be safe no matter what. But what happens again, like I said, if the circumstance on the outside gets on the inside, you're going down. So as much as you have circumstances around you, there are circumstances around you all the time. Circumstances, but you also need to work on the solutions. You need to work on the solution, and the solution is just there. You just need to put your thinking hat on. You need to start building yourself, building your mindset, and working on the important things. As much as there's the urgent things out there, you need to start working on the important things in life. And spend that little time building your mindset up, building yourself up, learning few things from people that will build you up, will give you the skills, will encourage you all the time. I never get enough of this. And I always ask for support. I always ask for help from people. I always look at people that have achieved some great success out there, and I say, hey, you know what? I don't care if that person turns around and says, hey, I don't have the time for you. I'll move on. But at the end of the day, I will keep pushing forward to learn from these people and to build myself from these people who have achieved some great success, who've gone through that, who have the mindset to be able to move forward, with solution after solution, because they have built themselves up from all the challenges from the past. You tune into 97.7 FM KC Radio on an hour of power and leadership with me, Ryan Gomez. We are on the dial. We are 97.7 FM locally, and we are streaming live on the web, which is www.kcradio.com.au.